Today's podcast is sponsored by Bradford White Water Heaters. Plumbing pros, when it's time to choose a water heater to install for your next job, whether it's residential or commercial, go with a product that is built to be the best. Go with Bradford White Water Heater. How you heat your water matters. Choose Bradford White. Welcome back to the Not Dead Yet podcast. I'm your host, John Mason Brink. I'm here with Tim Ward. Tim, how you doing?
JP, good Monday morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine,
Good weekend?
Yeah. How about you?
Not too bad. You made it through Saturday night. I was worried about you.
Oh, yeah. I had a sleepover with 6 teenage girls, so I was relegated to my bedroom where I was held hostage. I couldn't leave. So it was okay. Everything worked out.
Yeah. The quick phone call and the text we were sending back and forth. I was worried Sunday morning. I got up, went and got some breakfast for my wife and I was wondering how JP was from the night before. So I texted him early and he was like, I made it.
Yep. We survived. Speaking
of making it, you're taking off tomorrow with Eric to head to Cleveland and vast parts of the East Coast. Are you excited?
Yeah. It'll be fun. I'm not a big fan of flying, and it's supposed to be like 19 degrees when we take off tomorrow. So looking forward to that.
Be a little chilly, but yeah. December in the upper Midwest. What do you expect?
Yeah. Well, 50 on the weekend. So anyway,
ooh, I had not seen that forecast. I'm looking forward to it. May be an opportunity to get outside and do some last minute Christmas shopping because I need to do some. Have you finished?
Last minute, Tim. It's like 3 weeks away.
Last minute. You're one of those guys. You're one of those
Christmas
guys.
Eve.
I don't wait that long, but I do have a few things I need to. I did a little bit this weekend, but I've got to do a little bit next weekend as well.
Right on, Tim.
Speaking of warm weather, our guest is from a lot warmer climate. Kind of jealous. He told me earlier that he was playing golf this past weekend.
Well, we have a very successful call and conversation with Mike Fisher every Friday, and it's with the Niagara Sports Hub. And we thought it'd be kind of a cool idea to bring in Mr. Niagara. No, but he is the president of Niagara. Is that right, Carl?
I'm the executive vice president of Niagara Conservation. Actually, it's a family-run company, so the president and founder was the gentleman that I worked with, and now his son, which is a really good friend of mine, is the one that's taken that title. So me and him are in arms and arms running the company together.
And that voice you hear is Carl Wehmeyer with Niagara. So we thought it'd be cool to bring him on and talk Niagara, talk about some cool things they're doing and the product and the company. And Carl, thanks for joining us today.
Oh man, it's awesome to be here. I appreciate it and really excited.
Any relation to Ponce de Leon?
Not sure.
I know where this is going.
Well, supposedly he was the founder of the Fountain of Youth in Florida. So you look, I don't know how old you are, but you look very young.
Like I'm 10 years old.
Not 10, but maybe in the teens. Yeah.
He still gets carded when he buys a beer.
I smoked a lot of cigarettes when I was younger. It stunted my growth a little bit.
Okay. Right on. You mentioned a little bit about your official title, but why don't you take us through how you got to this position and your journey into the company?
Yeah, I actually started in my teens. It's funny you said that. I was 18 years old and I started working for the company, and the founder, Bill Cutler, he had the company for about 20 years at that time and was focused primarily on selling to water utilities and electric utilities. So we'd be those guys that would send you like this little kit with the free light bulb and the shower and the little faucet aerator. I mean, you guys, where you are, you got tons of water. You probably never saw that, but like in LA and like New York City, we'd send millions of these kits out to people. So I started out with Bill, and I was just like his little sidekick, right? Like I'm just out of high school. I'm sitting at his desk.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making phone calls and I'm sitting there entering all the sample orders in and learning the product. And, that's kind of how I cut my teeth. And what happened was he was like one of these old school, boiler room guys, and he'd have two phones at his desk. And a lot of times he'd call two people at the same time because he'd figure, hey, one of them's not going to pick up. And sometimes both people would pick up. So I'd have to grab the phone and basically talk to this person and do the sales. So after a while, the customers were like, I'd rather deal with this kid than this guy. He's a little gruff over here. I'll deal with you. So they started calling me. So Bill's like, hey, you're not my sidekick anymore. We want you to be a salesman. And that's kind of how I got into the market. And it was just about that time that we started developing toilet technology.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the perfect opportunity for me to cut my teeth like in the proper plumbing channels, working with wholesalers and contractors. And that's really how I got my start.
And how long have you been doing this now?
Now I've been doing it for over 20 years. Actually, this will be like my 21st year. And it's been a wild ride. I mean, when I started, I think we had about 6 employees and we were doing about that many millions in sales. And now we have, over 300 employees worldwide, and we're, order over $250 million in sales. So it's been a really wild ride.
Well, you mentioned that it's a family-owned business, and it's been focused on that water conservation rather than, as I've heard in the past, luxury or style. So what is it about the innovation and technology that really drives that company vision?
For us, we want to have the best available technology. That's always been our mantra. I mean, starting out in the utility business, that was kind of a must, right? Like a utility company's like, hey, if you're going to send out 1 million shower heads to my database, I don't want any phone calls and complaints. So we looked at that as a challenge and we're like, all right, well, this is going to be tough. We're going to go from a, 5 gallon per minute shower head down to a 2 gallon or a 1.5 gallon, and we can't have any customer complaints. So we really focused on driving the innovation of the technology so that we could, save water, but do that without sacrificing performance. And we realized that really gave us a big edge over the competition because anybody can make a nice looking shower head or toilet, but one that works, that's another question, right? And we knew that especially in the contractor customer base, the last thing they want is just like a utility. They don't want people calling them up, hey, this toilet you just put in is clogging or it's leaking or it's running, because that's just money out of their pocket and time out of their pocket to go and fix that. So that's really why innovation for us has always been our core value, because we know that that's a huge value add to our customer base.
Now you are located, we're talking to you, you're in the Fort Worth area, you said. Is that where a lot of the R&D and the assembly and all that with Niagara toilets it takes place?
Actually, a lot of the R&D and development is done in Texas, but also we have an office in New Jersey. That's where we founded the company. So we have a team of engineers in New Jersey, and we have some engineering up in Canada. So we have some partners up there that we work with for over 20 years, and they do a lot of the development there. So between those offices and then obviously our China-based operation, we really have a pretty robust system. You really can't.
We've all had challenges over the last 18 months because of COVID. And have those challenges, because I know you've got a big facility there, have the last 18 months really challenged you and created any new insight or reshaped company vision with technology? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think challenge is like an understatement. I think it's been it's been a nightmare, actually. I think it's been that way for everybody. It's just no one saw that coming. No one saw the COVID wave coming, and then no one saw the aftershock. So for us, the first challenge was just getting our company aligned virtually and getting everybody working together virtually, and then getting everybody back to the office. And then we had all these issues with the supply chain, right? The freight, the logistics. I mean, that whole whipsaw over in China has created a huge issue for us. I mean, the freight costs have just gone up like 500%. So that's put a lot of pressure on the pricing in the market. It's put a lot of pressure on the availability. And what it really did is it challenged us to really get serious about making sure that what we were bringing in and what we were offering and what we were developing for the customers was really hitting the mark, right? Because now is not the time where you can just bring in a bunch of fluff or ancillary products. You really have what you have in inventory now has to be exactly what the customers are looking for. And it's got to be, like I mentioned before, adding a ton of value, or else it's going to create problems for you. So we've focused a lot on ramping up and building up inventory on those A-level SKUs for these big projects. And we've also focused more on making sure that everything that we're developing is, really at the top end of the performance spectrum. Nothing commodity or anything that's just kind of checking boxes.
Yeah, it's basically honing in on your core competencies that will help the end user. What do you think of that, Tim?
Cost benefit analysis. I was waiting for you to throw something out there like that.
Well,
talk a little bit about how you go to market and how our audience are plumbing contractors. How do you reach those end market installers?
Well, we have a really strong network of wholesale channel partners. And actually, one of the things that we did in response to COVID and just all the uncertainty, we've doubled down on opening those channels up. So we've added a ton more wholesale partners, but we've also added a lot more of our rep agency partners, because these are the guys that are on the ground. They're boots on the ground in the community. They know what the projects are. They can really help support the wholesalers, and we've invested a lot of money with them, marketing dollars, to get out into the field and do counter days and do education and really get out there and promote and help these contractors get access to this product, because not a lot of people know about Niagara necessarily in the contractor world. I mean, there's some brand recognition, but we really think that there's a lot of opportunity for us to really get the word out and get the technology out there. So the wholesale channel partner has been a huge success for us.
What about any new trends that you guys are seeing? Obviously, states like California, West Coast, they're always looking at conservation, water conservation. Anything you guys are following that would be interesting for our listeners?
The interesting trend that we're seeing, and I think a lot of this came from COVID too. And it's funny because, there's that toilet paper shortage, right? Mm-hmm. Where everybody was going crazy and, stabbing people in the parking lot over toilet paper.
Bidets.
So they came out they had these smart toilets overseas that were really popular. Mm-hmm. And those have now just taken off in the US. And instead of the whole toilet, being a smart toilet, they actually just sell the seats and the attachments. So that's been a huge rising wave of business and changes, like you mentioned, where people are buying these toilet seats that have the little bidet sprayer mm-hmm. unit built in. Mm-hmm. They have the heated seat. Some of them are as fancy as they have like a little blow dryer in there. So we just saw that just take off like crazy. So now we're in the lab, like testing 5 or 6 different technologies right now, just because a market that was maybe less than 1% of the sales in the sanitary ware is now becoming like 10, 15, 20% of the volume. So I think your listeners are going to see a lot more customers looking for these, either smart toilets or the smart seat attachments.
John, we've talked about it. I'm pro bidet.
So when you say smart, is it actually the possibility of like hooking up to an Alexa device or something like that and just say,
Alexa, please wash me.
Spray my butt.
I think they call it smart because it's like, they're automated. Yeah. They got little remotes. Yeah. It's like you can program them like, hey, make my seat just this warm, because mm-hmm. that's the way I like it when it's cold this time in winter. So it's like just a little bit of technology. I mean, some of them even have like little air purifiers built into them. Like you sit on the seat and it starts purifying the air. And I mean, sometimes you see this happen where it starts in Europe and then heads over here. I think it's been a big play over there for so long. And now it's just going like gangbusters over here.
Do you guys do anything with like antimicrobial surfaces, things like that?
Yeah, we do. There's like plastic coatings. Like we'll use antimicrobial plastic on some of our shower heads. And then also we used to do it a little bit more on the toilets, but got away from it just because that surface wipes away so quickly, especially with the caustic materials people use to wash those bowls. Mm-hmm. I mean, that lining in those toilet bowls lasts like a couple months and then it's pretty much gone.
You mentioned earlier about expanding, working with more your rep organizations on counter days and stuff like that. What are some of the other things you're doing? And tell us a little bit about the team you've got there in Fort Worth.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we had two offices actually, the one in New Jersey and the one in Flower Mound, and combined it's about 70 employees here. And really, majority of those people are all dedicated to sales and marketing. So we got a pretty robust marketing team led by Jenny Steele, our VP of marketing, a ton of in-house support. So we use agencies, but we also have a ton of people that can do stuff on the fly and support our customers. We got a lot of awesome customer service people, our operations teams out of there. And then we have a pretty large warehouse distribution facility there. And we're actually upgrading that now. We're building a brand new state of the art facility right down the road. It's about 140,000 square foot, where most of that is going to be warehousing and distribution. So we're making a commitment and doubling down to invest on having more inventory centrally located here in the DFW area. In the past, we've kind of had it spread out between LA, the East Coast, and Dallas, but we're putting a lot more inventory down here just because we're seeing that a ton of the activity is happening in the Sun Belt right now. I mean, a lot of the new construction and larger projects are following the Sun Belt. So,
Carl,
go ahead.
Are you guys going to be at the Builders Show, Kitchen and Bath Show?
Yeah, and we're excited because we're going to be launching a lot of new products there as well.
That's right. I was going to ask you, can you let something out of the bag and tell us on the podcast what you might be showing down there?
Yeah, no problem. I mean, we have a whole new line of products, like I said, we developed for the plumbing wholesale channel, and it's all exclusive to the plumbing wholesalers. So we're really excited about that. But there's a good, better, best type line. And like I mentioned before, it's all featuring our technology. So when you see our line and you see what we've come to market with, you're going to see something totally different than what exists out there right now. So we're really excited about that. And we think that a lot of wholesalers are going to jump on board, even more than they have in the past. And I think as a contractor, you're going to have a lot more options for your customer. Because in the past with Niagara, we've had a pretty short line that was really focused on a couple of applications, like for multifamily and hospitality and residential. But now we're going to have a complete line that includes even some light commercial options and just a bunch of different styles and looks for the end user.
So you're excited to get back in person. Have you been traveling at all over the last 20 months or so? Or
yeah, I have my pilot's license, so I fly myself around a lot. So I kind of I've been bouncing around and trying to keep out in the field, visiting customers, and there hasn't been as many events as you know, but we've had a lot of like strategic partnership meetings and dinners, and so it's been good. I've been keeping out there.
Talked earlier about some trends and just now about some of the things that you guys will be doing with the new lines. What do you see the economy and the building trades industry being like over the next 18, 24 months?
Well, unfortunately, I want to say it's going to be getting better, but I think it's going to stay the same or potentially get a little worse, because what we're seeing now is we're just now fighting off these huge container prices from China, and anywhere else abroad. They're leveling out a little bit, but now we're seeing massive inflation. We're seeing a ton of increases now in raw materials. Almost every single vendor partner that we have right now, internationally and even domestically, is screaming about increases in material costs, because there's such a huge demand still for material. And that, like I mentioned before, that whiplash from COVID, there's such a backlog where people can't catch up, that the raw material prices are just going sky high. I mean, packaging alone, just liner board, is going up like 20-30%. And you can imagine all the packaging needed for like a ceramic toilet bowl to get it safely to the end customer's home. It's creating a challenge. So specifically what we're doing to try to mitigate that is like I mentioned before, we're looking at focusing the line and bringing in the products that we know are going to be the fast movers. And we're also looking at different things we're doing in the supply chain to try to mitigate some of those increases, like buying more material up front and warehousing it, because we have our own manufacturing facilities in China as well. So we're able to mitigate some of that by bringing in more inventory. But it's definitely a challenging time.
Yeah. So last year I had a guy come out and did some maintenance on my furnace, forced air furnace. And he's like, I think you got like this year and maybe one more year of life left on this furnace, and then probably should look at upgrading or, getting a new one. And so, of course, we're rolling the dice going into this year. And I just worry every day, like it's going to be 12 degrees and the furnace is going to go out. And I'm going to call, my local contractor. And he's like, well, you're basically shit out of luck because there's no, furnaces in stock. Is it that bad with, your line of product? Is it something like if someone's toilet goes out, what's the lead time on that?
Luckily for us, we don't have computer chips and things like that in our technology. Cause I think that's the big thing you're seeing. Some of those appliances and like water heaters and things, anything that's like electrical that uses conductors and things like that. That's where they're having the most problem. For us, the issue is more of an economic one. It's like, how much more can we afford to pay for freight, inflation, materials, and then warehouse that and hope that, the customer is willing to take that price increase. So, but like I said, we've been lucky. We've had some really tremendous growth throughout these last few quarters, and we have plenty of inventory on hand. I mean, if you go to our warehouse right now, we're almost filled to the brim right now. We've brought in a ton of inventory because we found some ports in China that had availability, and we just moved all our shipments there. So we're actually like trucking product across China right now, trying to find the right port.
John, is this where we get into codes and standards?
Yep. This is the sneak attack where we're gonna.
let me get my book out here.
No, actually, it's the Gauntlet. We call it the Gauntlet of more personal related questions for you, Kyle. You ready? You think you can pass these questions? No.
Sure. I'm gonna take a drink of water here. Hold on.
No, we always ask our guests. We're interested in what they like to do. For instance, like, what do you like to do in your spare time? You said you have a pilot's license, so you. Flying around.
I like knitting and petting cats. And
that's awesome.
Flying down to Mexico off and on.
Yeah, flying down to Mexico, picking up packages. But no, I think for me, I mentioned you were talking about golf before. I play a lot of golf here just because it's good for it's good to get out there with clients and even some of their clients. My family is all into golf, so I get to spend time on the course with the kids and the wife. So that's been a real blessing. But I'm just into all kinds of, action type stuff. Like I fly my plane down to, we have a ranch down here in Fredericksburg, Texas, and we got all kinds of toys down there, and we do a lot of hunting and fishing. And, I'm down there filling deer feeders all the time with my dad because we keep them going all year round. And then, now in the winter, heading out to the mountains.
Yeah, you say you have a pilot's license. Obviously, it's a certain type of plane, or what? Is it a single engine?
Yeah, so we, I got it's single engine, and I have my instrument rating too. I have a Cirrus SR-22 for any pilots out there. And the thing hauls ass. I mean, I can get like from here to like Houston in like an hour, where if I was driving, it'd be like 5 hours. So, I flew up to Kansas City, was it like a week ago, to go watch the Cowboys get hammered up there. So that was enjoyable, but it just it makes the world much smaller. It's like,
so what's the range on
a couple hours
on a flight before you have to land for fuel?
It's my bladder because I have to piss a lot. it's like there's no bathroom. You can't really just put on autopilot and go back. So like
there you go.
Like 3.5
Niagara
hours
in-air toilet you could come up with.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I could go farther than that, but no, you'd be turning yellow after a while.
I gotcha. So
what kind of things do you and your family do for vacations? I know you mentioned you're a big snowboarder and you're a golfer. Do you take a lot of vacations up in Colorado, or?
Yeah, we like to go to the islands too, like the Virgin Islands, St. John.
Yeah.
That's like our favorite spot down there. I mean, that's like heaven on earth down there. It's like all natural park, and usually you have to like rent like a villa down there. There's not a lot of hotels, so we just bang around down there. I'm trying to get them more into the skiing and the snowboarding, but they're like you, Tim. They don't like the cold. They're like anti-cold.
I don't blame them.
Figure that out.
Sand and water is good for me.
Yeah, I was in Breckenridge. That was quite my wife got altitude sickness, so it was interesting.
Yeah, we had that problem too. That's why we're headed to like Steamboat this year, because it's a little lower altitude there in the.
So I'm sure you listened to our Friday morning conversations with Mike Fisher. Growing up, who was your favorite athlete?
Wow. I really liked Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
Because when they were winning those Super Bowls, that's when I was like watching them on TV, and I just really like loved how quick he was and how dominant they were, especially with him on the field. So that was one of my favorite athletes. It's funny because like my whole family was Cowboys fans because I was born in Texas. All my family was here, like on my mom and dad's side, and then we moved up to New Jersey. So I grew up there, but we were all Cowboys fans, and anytime I'd come back here to Texas, it'd be like, everyone watching, grandma, great grandma, like yelling and screaming at the TV. So that's like, for me, it was like a big family ordeal.
John, was that the way it was in the Mason Brink house with the Bears?
Oh, yeah. I'm just trying to look online here. So about 15 years ago, we took a trip down to the British Virgin Islands, and we rented sailboats, like 50-foot sailboats, and kind of sailed around the different islands there. And I swear we went to St. John's. Isn't there like a famous bar there, like on the beach?
Yeah, they have one that's like out actually in the ocean. Like it's like it's like this pirates bar or something.
I've been to that one. Yeah.
St. John is just more of like, it's like real chill. It's all natural and it's all national parks. So there's no like, there's no resort there. Like you don't go to the beach and there's like 8 gazillion people there with like umbrellas and like a bar. Like you go, literally it's like a national park parking lot. You park and you hike to the beach and it's like real chill.
Maybe I'm thinking of St. Croix, or I don't know.
I'm good with any of them.
Yeah, for sure.
For all the country fans, that's where Kenny Chesney lives too. That's his like home base is St. John. So sometimes you're down there and you see him rolling around.
Yeah. Well, Zach Brown does something. Is that in Mexico? I don't know. He has a concert somewhere in the winter on the beach. Tim, why don't we start a band, Tim, and we could go play around different southern.
I'll follow you guys around. That's cool.
Well, can you play an instrument? Can we?
Yeah, I play guitar. I got
Tim, come on.
Acoustic guitar.
John, he has a plane. We don't need his guitar. We want his plane. Come on.
Tim does sing a mean what is it, Bobby McGee?
Oh, stop
I've heard that in karaoke once.
Yeah, stop it.
He's the guy that says, I'll never do a karaoke song until I get like 4 drinks in him. And then he's like, I'll do it. Come on, Bobby McGee, play it. Anyway.
You should open the show with that. You should open the show with a clip of him singing that.
There are images probably out there on the internet somewhere.
Anyway, Tim, I'm sidetracking.
I know you are. Carl, I was just going to say, what's one thing people may not know about you?
They may not know about me. I don't know. I'm a pretty open book, but here's an interesting factoid. And most people don't realize that I have I got rid of it, but I had citizenship in Saudi Arabia. So I was like a Saudi Arabian citizen for a long time. We had a huge program over there with the government, the Ministry of Water and Electricity. This goes back maybe like 15 years. So I used to travel back and forth there basically like every couple months or so. And it got to the point where it got so big over there that I established an office, hired a bunch of employees, and I had to get my Saudi citizenship. So I had like one of those little green cards, that I'd come and go. And that was a pretty interesting thing to have in your wallet and to travel over there and spend time over there. A lot of time in the desert, just visiting all those countries over there, and actually even speak a little bit of Arabic as well.
How did you like it over there?
I wouldn't use the word like, Tim. How did I deal with it? I don't know. It was rough, man. It's like you go over there and it's a completely different culture. There's no anything. There's no alcohol. There's no women. There's no entertainment. I mean, you couldn't even, if you're in a restaurant, they can't even play music. It was that strict. Mm-hmm. Like there was this one restaurant I was in, the guy was like playing music and the religious police came in and like they were ready to whip this guy. And I was like, holy crap, man, this is, so it was, business was good, but like it was a harsh environment and it was hot. I mean, it was like 125, 30 degrees over there. So you're just like, you're in a suit and you just want to die. You're like, please just get me home. And then there's the security issues over there, like the compound that we lived in, like had a freaking like military vehicles, and you had to go through these like swerve through these things like in a military checkpoint. Like it was the real deal, but it was a good experience. I mean, I really liked dealing with the people over there. They were real friendly. So we got to spend some time with there, and then going to like Dubai and Bahrain and some of these other countries. That was fun. I went to a lot of Formula One races over there.
Oh, cool.
So that was cool. But
I like me some F1.
Yeah.
In fact, they just had the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix this weekend.
Yeah, I was watching. It's tied now. This is it. It comes down to the last race there in Abu Dhabi.
You just know that Lewis Hamilton's going to win his 8th.
I know. Well, it's like we're at the point now where it's like we just want Verstappen to win. Like my dad's like anti Lewis Hamilton. He's like, it's like watching him win the 8th title. Come on.
Yep.
Someone else needs a chance.
So you never wore a white gown when you were over in Saudi Arabia with the... I don't know.
I thought about it, but then I was like, they'll that would probably really piss them off.
Oh, I don't know.
Like once
it's comfortable.
Once they realize,
yeah,
because it's like a religious thing. So for me, it was like I'm just gonna stay. I don't know. I mean, they really love Americans over there. Contrary to like
when were you last over
like,
there?
It was probably like right before COVID. But I would, like I said, I was like almost living there before, and then I kind of backed off once the government programs ended. I spend most of the time now in Dubai. It's a lot more
westernized
to do business over there. But Saudi
Dubai's
definitely
become much more westernized, as I recall.
Oh man, it's like Disneyland.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes Las Vegas is like Kiddie World compared to Dubai.
Yeah, Dubai.
That's how crazy it is over there.
Tim, the name of the bar was Foxy's on the British Virgin Islands. That's the bar I was at.
BVI. I'll have to go there sometime.
I got a Foxy's painting in my bathroom. That's how much I love that.
From that bar?
Yeah.
See, there you go. We're full of knowledge on this show.
You got to get back down there, man.
Yeah, I do actually. It's a good time.
Is that going to be our Mechanical Hub trip, John?
We're talking about it somewhere. So
somewhere warm.
Well, Carl, thanks so much for jumping on. This has been great. 35 minutes or so of keeping us up to date on Niagara and everything that you guys are doing. If anybody listening wants to know more about Niagara, go to niagaraconservation.com. Is that right?
If you go to niagaracorp.com,
okay,
that gets you more of the latest information, because we've kind of shifted our branding. We have a pro website as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give you that information. So for the pro, that'll give them, pro specific content. So let me just pull up, make sure I give you the right address. But this has been great, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Talking to you guys. It's been fun. We'd love to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
We just love to have the Mike Fisher show going. Me and him, crack it up a lot. I always see him at the Cowboys game, so it's always good to hear his commentary. So the best way for your audience is if you go to pro.niagaracorp.com. That'll take you right to the new pro section we have with all the new items that we're launching. And Niagara is spelled Niagara, because I misspelled that many times myself at the beginning. So there's actually 3 A's in there.
Well, and hopefully some of the contractors will be traveling down to Orlando here in about a month and a half for our K-Base show. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see all you guys there. We're really excited. And, there's a lot more to come from us.
Well, thanks so much again, Carl. We appreciate it. And we'll definitely talk again. This was interesting. So thank you.
All right,
thanks,
guys.
Carl.
Appreciate it.